Hey, welcome. Ever walked down a street and wondered why some just feel alive and connected, while others feel, I don't know, kind of empty? Well, today we're diving into how the actual design of our neighborhoods can either build up a community or, well, let it fall apart. Let's get into it.
You know the feeling, right? You live on a street, maybe for years, but you barely know your neighbors. You have to hop in a car for literally everything. But here's the thing. That sense of isolation, it's not an accident. It's actually the result of decades of very specific planning decisions.
And this graphic right here just nails the core of the problem, the single-use city. For the longest time, the big idea in urban planning was to separate everything out. Homes go over here, shops way over there, and your office is in a completely different part of town. The result? These sprawling, car-dependent suburbs that end up feeling more like dormitories than real living communities.
All right, so let's really tackle this problem head-on. In this first part, we're going to break down exactly how this model of isolated urban design leads to that social loneliness that so many of us are feeling.
This quote really gets right to the heart of it. See, when we design our cities to get rid of the corner stores, the little local cafes, the small parks, what urbanists call third places, we're basically eliminating the spaces where we can have those spontaneous, natural human connections. We're losing the very glue that holds a community together.
But here's the good news. It doesn't have to be this way. So now that we kind of get the problem, let's start talking about the solution. And that brings us to our next section, where we're going to look at this idea of the missing middle and something called gentle density. Gentle density. I love that term. It's all about adding more homes into a neighborhood, but in a way that actually fits the character that's already there. So think more neighbors, not giant skyscrapers. It's about being dense, sure, but not necessarily high-rise, which lets us grow without losing that human scale. And this diagram just makes the whole concept super clear. On the far left, you've got your typical single-family homes, and way over on the right, you've got the bigger apartment buildings. The missing middle is, well, it's everything in between. It's the duplexes, the townhouses, the courtyard apartments, all that variety of housing that, for some reason, we mostly stopped building for decades.
And here's what those look like in the real world. We're talking about things like duplexes, townhouses, and one of my personal favorites, these awesome little cottage courts and live-work units. And look, these aren't some radical new ideas. They're classic housing styles that are just perfectly scaled for creating vibrant, walkable communities. Okay, so we've got the right kind of housing, but that's really only half the battle. The other crucial piece of the puzzle is mixing uses, literally reweaving the fabric of our daily lives back into our residential streets.
Now, the key phrase here is narrow range. This is not about dropping a giant supermarket in the middle of a quiet street. No, it's about allowing those small-scale, neighborhood-serving businesses to exist on corner lots. The kind of place you can walk to for a coffee or to grab a carton of milk.
And this distinction is so important. Narrow range builds local community. It provides things for the people who live within a few blocks. Wide-range commercial zones, on the other hand, like your big downtown centers, those are destinations for the whole city. This approach lets both of them thrive without having to compete with each other.
And this is exactly what that looks like in the real world. A single building like this can become the social heart of an entire neighborhood. It's where you bump into your neighbors while grabbing a coffee, you chat with the owner, you see familiar faces. These are the spaces that create what people call emergent social dynamics, those unplanned organic connections that just happen. It's not just about convenience. It's about creating the conditions for a community to actually form, all on its own.
Which really brings us to the core of what we're talking about today. How do these two big ideas, missing middle housing and mixed use, how do they actually create a connected community? What are the social mechanisms that are really at play here? Well, it really boils down to four powerful mechanisms. By designing our neighborhoods in this way, we can create those essential third places we talked about, we can build in shared spaces, make walking the natural choice, and support a much more diverse group of residents.
This image is just a perfect example of the power of shared spaces. When homes are built around a common green area or a courtyard, you create what urbanists call positive social friction. It's that gentle, everyday interaction, saying hi when you get your mail, your kids playing together in the garden, that slowly builds real relationships. You almost can't help but get to know your neighbors. This kind of design is a direct antidote to loneliness.
You know what's cool? When you have a variety of housing types, you get a variety of people. So instead of entire neighborhoods segregated by age or income, you get this rich social fabric with young people, families, and seniors all living together.
This is what lets people age in place, keeping their social networks strong for their entire lives.
And hey, this isn't just some feel-good idea. It has massive practical benefits. When your daily errands don't require a car, guess what? People drive less. I mean, look at this slide. One study found these kinds of neighborhoods generate 33% less car travel. That is a huge win for the environment, for traffic, and for our own health.
And wow, just look at the difference in a single glance. On the left, you have a street that was designed for cars. It's empty, it's wide, it's isolating. And on the right, you have a street designed for people. It's vibrant, it's active, and it's full of chances to connect. The choice is pretty stark, right?
So when we put all these pieces together, the gentle density, the mixed uses, that architecture of connection, we finally arrive at the ultimate vision, what's called the complete neighborhood.
This, right here, is the goal. It's a community where homes and shops and nature and people are all woven together seamlessly. A place where you can live, work, and play without constantly needing a car. A place that is, from the ground up, built for human connection.
I love this quote because it says everything so perfectly. The whole point is to create places where the richness of life isn't something you have to drive to find. It's right there, on your street, in your neighborhood.
And that kind of leaves us with one last thought to take away. Just imagine for a second, if your neighborhood was designed this way, how would that change your daily routine, your health, and maybe most importantly, how would it change your relationships with the people all around you? Because the architecture of our world really does shape the architecture of our social lives.